Last chance to invest in this insanely successful fund. And I imagine some of you all already have it. And you can't invest in it anymore after April. I think it's April 28th. We'll confirm that. Unless you have it inside something else. All right. So you got to stick to the video. I'll tell you. I was actually doing some thought. I was watching this video. My man David Hoffman. He has a YouTube channel. I'm going to show you a video he did. And this is my man David Hoffman, who's actually he's fighting a stroke not too long ago. So he's fighting, and he's just a great guy. He's a legend. He does all these. His channel is just fantastic. I love it. It's all old school, kind of going back in history about, because he used to be a filmmaker from the old days. Anyway, this is from Why Americans Don't Save Money, and this is a Fidelity manager, Bob Beckwith, who underperformed with Fidelity funds. So he failed upwards, like most people in that industry do, to work for Goldman Sachs. And this is in the 90s. And then you'll see here, you got right here, here's Jeffrey Vinnick. He took over Fidelity Magellan from Peter Lynch in 1991 or maybe 1992. I can't remember. But yeah, I think 92, I think. And he proceeded to do okay, nothing fancy. But he got rich enough to own the Tampa Bay Lightning, some stupid soccer team. And just is insane, man. I mean, it's like he just barely beat the index, and he got I'm sure he's a multi-billionaire. And like, anyway, the whole thing stuff. Anyway, the point being, it made me think of what a contra fund, Fidelity Contra Fund, managed by Bill Danoff. And he wasn't in this video. And I was like, whatever happened to Bill Danoff? I know he's still managing the Contra Fund. I just started looking up again, and I can't. So Bill Danoff, the Fidelity Contra Fund and the Fidelity New Insights Fund. And it turns out Bill Danoff fund is going to close to new investors in 2025. $63.8 billion Contra fund to close. And it's going to close as of April 28th. So only existing holders will be able to make new purchase in Contra fund after that time. All right, that's crazy, man. Danoff has managed Contra fund since 1990 and the advisor New Insights Fund since 2003. So when I was an advisor, I was you always want to bet on the jockey, not the horse necessarily. Look, I'm not a guy on horse racing, but generally speaking, that's what I was, I've always felt you bet on the jockey, not the horse. There are different strategies that, don't get me wrong. But in this case, you bet on the manager, not the fund. The fund is irrelevant. It's the manager that you're betting on. And when I was a broker, Fidelity New Insights came around, and you offered that through Class A, Class B, Class C shares, and institutional shares as well. So I could get paid a commission on it, whereas Fidelity Contra Fund had no commission. So anyway, Danoff came out with that, or Fidelity came out with that, and I used to sell it to my clients because it was, the track record on Fidelity Contra Fund is impeccable. And because it's so impeccable, they got so much money coming in, they don't know what to do with this. Kind of like the Vanguard Prime Cap. Anyway, so right here we got Russell Cannell. He says a good move. In 1990, to close the fund, he said in 1996 we wrote Fidelity Contra Fund has gotten fat. Oh, that's interesting. In fact, it dethroned the Fidelity Magellan to become the biggest fund in September. That's crazy, man. That's nuts. That's nuts. It's crazy to think that Fidelity's Magellan fund was still the largest fund. Because I mean, for a long, I don't follow what it's done in the last 10 years, but there's a long time it's doing crap relative to the S&P 500, and people are getting out of it after Peter Lynch left. Let's see. I think Will Danoff is obviously a gifted stock picker and an excellent manager. He understands that the past 12 months he's been running with, on average, about 9% in cash, which indicates he clearly is having a difficult time putting all that cash to work, 100%. And if he's going to be not fully invested in all that cash, he could trail his benchmark. And we've seen again with Prime, we've seen any good fund firm will say, man, we're getting too big. We love the money, but we don't know where to put it. And we're not going to put in third or fourth ranked stocks just to invest in something, because then we're just basic classic index. 63 billion sounds like a lot, I grant you, but relative to like the S&P 500, the index fund of Vanguard, it's nothing, man. In fact, let's take a look at the market cap. Oh, right here. Investor inflows in the funds have accelerated as the result of his performance, with taking in more than $12 billion in net new cash in the last 12 months. $12 billion. Now, the fund will the closing will slow inflow, but won't stop because, right here, employer-sponsored retirement plans may be able to open additional accounts for investors if the funds are established as right here. Fidelity is so huge that 401ks that their closing of funds does not result in shutting them off to new flows as the way it does to other funds. So if you have it through your 401k, you can still invest in it. I don't know that for a fact. You'd have to double check that. But either way, am I recommending you get involved in this? No, you do whatever you want. Here's the Vanguard S&P 500 Admiral Shares Index. $1.4 trillion. $1.4 trillion. Whereas the Contra Fund only had 68 billion. I mean, so you can see this dwarfs the Contra Fund. How many? I want to curious. These top 10 holdings. Meta, Facebook is by far the biggest. Freaking an eighth of the portfolio, more than an eighth of the portfolio. Berkshire is about what's that? 1/11th. Nvidia, Amazon, Microsoft, Apple, Alphabet. I mean, no wonder why this fund is taking off, because it's high growth stuff. That's crazy. They don't say how many holdings it has, but anyway. So that fund is closing. If you were big on to the tech stuff, that'd be something you'd want to look into for sure. I'm not telling you to recommend it. I don't care. I just know that Bill Danoff. I mean, look at his record, man. It's crazy. So since 1990, he's been managing this fund. Compared to the S&P 500, $10,000 invested in 1990 is worth $445,000 now. $10,000 invested in the S&P 500 is worth $256,000. I mean, it's just, look, there's no way that's going to continue. I mean, it could. I don't know. I highly suspect it won't with all that cash he's got. He's like, I got to deploy this someplace. But look, up until 2009, $10,000 invested in the S&P 500 as of 1990. So after basically 20 years, it was only worth $25,000, whereas worth $36,000 for Danoff. Right? So not a significant. I mean, that's a big difference, mind you, but not to the extent of the last 15 years. And that's the growth stuff sitting there. Look, again, who knows what's going to happen with this fund? But if you got a guy who has proven his worth, but that doesn't mean he can continue to do it. We just don't know. We just don't. Bill Miller, perfect example of that. Bill Miller ran the Legg Mason Value Trust for many years, 15 straight years of beating the S&P 500. No one else had come close to that. And as of 2006, I think, and then it became a dog after that. He just got destroyed, the Legg Mason Value Trust after that. I don't know what he's doing now. I think he's still running it, I believe, but I don't know. But I mean, you just don't know. So the same thing could happen to Danoff. I don't know. But if you want to have access to this fund, you got until April 28th for sure. Not a recommendation. In fact, if I mention it, you probably should stay away. All right. God bless. Love your thoughts. Smash that like button. We'll see you